I'd like to call to order at 6:03 p.m. Ms. Collier, will you please read the meeting announcement?
Sure. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Sparta Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be advertised by having the date, time, and place thereof posted at the Sparta Board of Education office, 18 Mohawk Ave, as designated by the Board of Education for posting of such notice in a public place. Written notice was emailed on January 6, 2023 to the New Jersey Herald, the Star Ledger, tapintosparta.net, and to the Township Clerk specifying the date, time, and place of this meeting.
Thank you, Lauren. Ms. Black, roll call, please.
Ms. Collier?
Here.
Ms. Keeling?
Here.
Mr. Knapp?
Here.
Ms. McMichael?
Here.
Mr. Paleschi? Ms. Pitzer?
Here.
Ms. Seelander?
Here.
Dr. Serrano?
Here.
Mr. Morris?
All right. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to make a motion to move into convene into closed session. Do I have a second? Oh, to discuss attorney-client privilege, matters of personnel, as well as auditor interviews. Do I have a second?
Second.
Walter, thank you. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Oh, we expect to be about an hour. So, see you back.
Is that right, Matt? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. Back in session. Joanne, can we get a roll call, please?
Ms. Collier,
Here.
Ms. Keeling,
Here.
Mr. Knapp,
Here.
Ms. McMichael,
Here.
Mr. Pelesci, Ms. Pitzer,
Here.
Ms. Seelander,
Here.
Dr. Serrano,
Here.
Mr. Morris.
Here. District recognition. Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the district recognition is actually the presentation for the Helen Morgan School archery presentation. So as people that have attended our meetings regularly know or view from home know that our Helen Morgan School archery team was new and faced immediate success, as I've announced multiple times at meetings. So recently, Nurse Lil reached out to Ms. Rossi and myself and asked if they could come and present and talk about their experience. So they're here tonight to share their experience. So thank you for coming.
Is this on? Yeah. Okay, we are delighted to be here tonight. Lillian Farrell, AKA Nurse Lil, and the only thing I have to share is that the reason that I became an archery coach is because I was exposed to archery through the school system when I was in high school, and I had the opportunity to take archery there, developed a love and a passion for it, and now it's just come to full circle round for me to be able to work with these wonderful students who do, you know, we don't want to take too much of your time, but they do want to just, we're here to share a joy. So with no further ado, I'm going to have them show you our trophies because we are dual state champions. So come on up, Matt. And let's have our other trophy here too. So, one of our trophies is for target shooting. One is target shooting. The other one is for 3D shooting, which are facsimiles of animals. And when our students went to that tournament, they had never even seen those targets in person, let alone shoot at them. And here we are, New Jersey State Championships for both, target and for 3D. And that made us eligible to go to Kentucky, which a bunch of us did go. And we have our poster here to show you from our adventures in Kentucky. So the students would like to share a little bit, so I want to give them an opportunity to do that. And I'm just going to adjust the microphone.
Do you want to show the audience all that stuff? You want to show the audience?
I'm going to leave it up to the children if they feel like turning around or not. You know, they might not. They might be, you know, feeling a little nervous. I have to tell you, this is my grandson, future archer, Eamon. So I'm going to let the kids come up and take the mic.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Natalie Hannum. I'm a Sparta student, and I'm here to talk about archery. Archery has taught me discipline and focus. We made it so far, and I can't imagine what we could do if we continued archery. And I have made many friendships throughout archery that I thought I would never have. I've never found a sport like archery where I am this passionate. This experience is one of the best things that has ever happened to me. So with your support, I hope you can help us to continue this throughout the years, and thank you.
Hi, my name is Matthew Jones, and I was on the 5th grade Helen Morgan archery team. I was sad when it was over, but I hope after everyone gives their speeches, you'll understand what this team means to all of us, and that you'll consider putting an archery program at the middle school next year. I created many new friendships and memories while part of this team. I was excited when I heard we were able to go to Kentucky to compete. I was so proud of my teammates and our results at the tournament. I am thankful to our coaches for putting the trip together. Not only did I go to Kentucky, but I got to take a walk on a bridge to Indiana and added 2 more states to my list of places visited. I had never participated in any archery until this year. In archery, you must focus because if you don't, your shot will be messed up. Archery is all about focus and concentration. In archery, you must listen to the coach because if they say something and you don't hear it, it could lead you to a bad shot or a possible injury. In archery, you always want to give a compliment on a good shot because it shows a sign of respect. I learned a lot from this. I learned all of this from my coaches. Archery has helped me improve my hand-eye coordination. For example, I played defense in lacrosse, and I was asked to fill in as goalie for a game. And I think my archery training helped me with blocking the other team. Thank you for letting me speak about what my archery team means to me.
Hi, my name is Leah Solander. My archery experience has been great. It was challenging at first, but Mr. A and the other coaches made it easy. It also built up my confidence. I feel very grateful that I was a part of this team. Thank you. Have a good night.
Short and sweet.
Okay. Hi, my name is Olivia Stanton, and I am here to talk about how archery has impacted me so much. So first off, archery is amazing, and it's helped me focus more, build my confidence by going up in front of everyone, and even make new friends that I probably wouldn't be friends with if I didn't do archery. It's good for kids because some kids don't like a lot of sports, and archery, even though it is a sport, it's a different kind of sport. It's good for kids to be on a team like this one. I had so many great coaches to help me improve, and I love archery so much, and the traveling is so fun. I hope this speech inspires you to continue and support archery as you have been, so that other kids can have the same opportunity as I had this year. Thank you for your time, and have a good rest of your night.
Hi, my name is Kylie Snyder. My archery experience has been so incredible. There were some challenges, but my coaches and friends helped me get through them, and I'm so grateful for that. When I found out we were going to nationals in Kentucky, I jumped with excitement. My whole archery journey has been super fun and exciting. I hope that we can continue this amazing archery journey. Thank you.
My name is Alexander Kasier. I love this. It was a fun thing to do. It helped me focus. It gave me something to do. I am happy I could be on the team. I wish for this to continue, so please let this happen. Thank you.
I didn't preview any of what they were going to say. Just want to give you that little disclaimer. I know that you are all in support, and I know that everyone's working to do what they can. Big thank yous to Tara Rossi for her undying commitment to us, on a very, very active level, and to Dr. Beck and to all of you, because we do know that you all see the value in this, and we are really here to share that joy, which I think you can tell is very evident. So thank you all so much.
Thanks for coming in tonight. On behalf of the board, we'd just like to say congratulations and you want to say something? No? All right. Yep, thank you. Okay, we will be moving on while they're taking pictures. We're going to move on to approval of the minutes. Joanne?
Ms. Collier,
Yes.
Ms. Keeling,
Yes.
Mr. Knapp,
Yes.
Ms. McMichael,
Yes.
Mr. Pleshy, Ms. Pitzer,
Yes.
Ms. Seelander,
I'm abstaining.
Dr. Serrano,
Yes.
Mr. Morris.
Yes.
Joanne, I'm sorry, I wasn't here last month. I had to abstain.
Moving on to superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Morse. A few updates over the summer months here. First, a strategic plan update. We've now completed the first full year of our district strategic plan. As far as an update on the district level portion of that strategic plan, a draft of the communications plan was submitted by our consultant. I've reviewed the recommendations, and they are some really good action plan items in the plan. My goal is to continue to review the plan and present the final plan at the August Board of Education meeting. Year one of executive training has been completed. The executive training we received based on the Strength Finder philosophy from Gallup was extended to all certified staff in the spring, and we are working on plans to continue to implement and expand what we learned from this training in the 23-24 school year. The technology audit and resultant technology plan are currently being worked on. The technology audit was performed in regard to our infrastructure and cybersecurity. Simultaneously, Industrial Appraisal performed a district-wide inventory of all district property, including our technology devices. Ms. Black, Ms. Rossi, and I will work with the IT department and other stakeholders to combine the audit and the inventory into a multi-year technology plan that will allow us to plan for future expenses, maintenance, and upgrades. As soon as that plan is complete, we will present it at the following Board of Education meeting once it's complete. Lastly, each of our schools submitted their Sustainable New Jersey applications in the spring and received some in-depth feedback on how to improve the application and meet all of the standards required for certification. Unfortunately, we ran out of time as we were up against the end of the school year, but we will revisit the project and continue to work in the fall. On this evening's agenda, you will see our district's emergency virtual plan and safe return to school plan for approval. The emergency virtual plan is an NJDOE requirement for annual submission and is necessary to have in place should we ever need to revert to remote instruction. I know it doesn't sound good. Due to natural disasters or health-related school closures. The Safe Return to School Plan is a federal American Rescue Plan requirement to be updated and submitted every 6 months as it is tied to federal funding. It is our sincere hope that neither of these plans will ever need to be implemented. As I've shared numerous times in my superintendent report, our high school robotics team has achieved great success over the last few years. Soon after last month's board meeting, I learned of yet another honor, this one for one of our staff members. I'm proud to announce that Mark Miola was named the 2023 Air and Space Force STEM Teacher of the Year for the state of New Jersey, and he has also been officially nominated for the National Air and Space Force STEM Teacher of the Year recognition, which will be decided and announced this fall. So congratulations to Mr. Miola. As I mentioned in last month's board meeting, we were researching some breakage we encountered with some recent staff hires as well as actual incurred costs. that might have come in lower than some estimated quotes we received for the 23-24 budget in order to see if we could reinstall the position of part-time nurse over at Alpine School. I am pleased to announce that we were able to fund that position once again, and we have posted for that vacancy. Summer facilities update. Our annual summer maintenance throughout all 5 of our buildings is moving forward according to schedule. Our hardworking custodians, maintenance, and IT teams have been working hard this summer, as they do every summer, to make sure that our buildings are ready to open in September. And our annual air quality tests have also been scheduled and will take place in the coming weeks. Pre-K expansion grant submission. So you'll see, as you can see on the addendum this evening, which was released today, it includes a resolution to submit our application for pre-K expansion funding. This year, the NJDOE has expanded their eligibility to districts that can apply for pre-K expansion funding. Our district is in Tier 4 of their funding formula, and a majority of the funding will be dedicated to the top 3 tiers. However, we want to make sure that we submit our application to make sure we pursue every option for funding. And lastly, the NJ GPA results. The results of the spring implementation of the NJ GPA assessments have been received by the district. We are pleased with our initial review of the results, and those results will be presented at the August Board of Education meeting. And that's my report for the evening.
Thank you. Tara, do you have any? Perfect. Moving on to the HIB report. Joanne?
Could I, the motion?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Motion to approve the HIB report.
Motion.
Thanks, Lauren. Second?
Second.
Walter? Discussion? Joanne?
Ms. Collier?
Yes.
Ms. Keeling?
Yes.
Mr. Knapp?
Yes.
Ms. McMichael?
Yes.
Mr. Pleshy? Ms. Pitzer?
Yes.
Ms. Seelander?
Yes.
Dr. Serrano?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes. Do you have any communications? Okay. Delegate liaison reports.
I just want to remind everyone that the 3rd annual Cornhole Tournament will be held on August 26th, the Sparta Education Foundation. If you're interested, please make sure you visit the website, whether to participate and or sponsor.
Anybody else have anything?
So I just want to give up an update on the Sussex County Educational Services Commission. They just had their graduation not too long ago. They really have an amazing program going on where they're partnered with Hackettstown Hospital and Newton Hospital, where they're getting these students prepared to, get jobs, be productive members of society. And it was truly an amazing meeting that we had last time. One of the students who graduated their program, they call it Project Search, came and talked about what his experience was. And it's just truly amazing what they're doing over there at Northern Hills Academy, and this partnership that they have going with Hackettstown Hospital, and now expanding, I believe, to Newton Medical Center as well. So it's just really great to see these kids flourish over there.
Thanks, Walter. No one else? We'll move on. Okay, we're going to move to public comment number 1. Public comments are invited on the matters pertaining only to action items at this time. Please state the action item number, as well as your name, municipality, and group affiliation, if appropriate, for the record. Each participant will be given 3 minutes to speak. Once you had your allotted 3 minutes to speak, you will not be permitted to speak again until public comment number 2. All statements should be directed to me as presiding officer. The board or administration may or may not respond to any questions or comments after the conclusion of public participation.
Ryan Dumpert, Sparta. I'd like to speak to item number 1526, the threat assessment team. I read through this. I'm not sure if it has any previous history, if this is the first time this is being introduced. After reading through the whole thing twice, I only have one comment. I'd like to know if anywhere in the process of this there is any contact of the parents. Where does that role play, and at what point during any of this are the parents contact? I really think that's going to be important to have into the document. Item number 1527. I read two new lines in there. The district shall annually publish on its website a list of resource materials that were added to and deleted from the school library during the past 12 months, and the district shall make its resource materials readily available to parental review through Destiny Library or other similar website-based database. A shelf list of library resources shall be available to parent guardians upon request. My question is, and I assume this goes to Dr. Beck, was this not standard procedure before? Did this not exist until now, or is this just coming about now? I ask because if this is just coming about now, how do we possibly know what was ever in the libraries and what's on the shelves and what was not on the shelves? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Brent Rivers, Long Valley, New Jersey. I'm here to speak about 15.27. I am here once again to ask you not to pass these revisions to these policies and regulations. You all know my objections to these policies. I've continued to reject alongside the New Jersey Association of School Libraries and the National Council of Teachers of English policies that create undue boundaries to literacy. I am, however, relieved to see the addition of some very important text in Regulation 2530. Quote, "The fact of sexual incidents or profanity appearing shall not automatically disqualify a book. The decision shall be made on the basis of whether a book presents life in its true proportions, whether circumstances are realistically dealt with, and whether a book is of literary value. Many works of literature important in our culture contain isolated elements to which some individuals may object," end quote. This is great news, since this language protects the fundamental freedoms that students have to learn and teachers have to teach. Even under the 1999 policy, parents have always been able to make the final determination about the text's appropriateness for their own child. The concern, shared by all of those organizations who support literacy instruction, is that one parent might make that determination for someone else's child. As one parent told me, "I don't have a problem with other people who don't want their kids to have things, but I do have a problem with other people who don't want my kid to have things." But let's focus on the positive. This new language is very encouraging. It suggests that literature is more complicated than sexual content. I don't mean to go all Walt Whitman here, but this language contains multitudes. It suggests that a resource has those three primary functions: to present life in its true proportions, to deal with circumstances realistically, and to provide literary value. Wow. Why then do we need the rest of the policy? Is it to provide further clarification on any of those three functions? I can tell you that when the educators and member of the public and board member met to evaluate the upside of unrequited, there was a thorough discussion about the merits of the text. We sought to determine the literary value, the realism of the circumstances, and the true proportions of that book. There was a consensus. And yet, the, quote, "isolated elements to which some individuals may object," end quote, have red tagged this book to the high school. Because this is the truth. The unpredictability in this policy creates confusion. How will we know which isolated elements will be defended? Which ones will not? Will it change with each new iteration of the board? These questions create uncertainty, and uncertainty creates tension. To pass an uncertain policy is to cement that tension into our schools. That tension affects our students, it affects our entire community. But the seed of hope is there in that new language. Please rebuild this policy to help rebuild our town. Thank you.
Did you sign in?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
So this worked for some of the elementary school children, but not me, apparently. My name is Amanda Alessino. I'm a resident of Andover Township. I'm here to speak on behalf of PFLAG Sussex County. Yes, we exist. I want everyone to know before I start reading the statement from PFLAG directly to the board
What item number are you talking about?
on 1527.
Okay, thanks.
That PFLAG is the nation's largest organization dedicated to supporting, educating, and advocating for LGBTQ+ people and those who love them. We ensure that PFLAG is a place where everyone belongs. We listen actively, engage with cultural humility, and ensure that the power of diverse people, cultures, and stories are respected and woven through all areas of our work. We provide peer-to-peer support through in-person and virtual meetings, online outreach, and a variety of additional resources and programs. Our meetings are sometimes on Wednesdays, but August 16th will be our next meeting, 7 p.m. at Sparta Methodist, if anybody would like to join us. And now I'd like to read the statement from PFLAG directly. I'm reading this on behalf of PFLAG Sussex County and its Board of Directors. PFLAG, like I mentioned, is the largest organization in the United States dedicated to supporting, educating, and advocating for LGBTQ+ people and those who love them. The members of the PFLAG Sussex County chapter are concerned about the proposed updates to District Regulation 2530 resource materials. The proposed updates to the policy would ban, quote, lewd or vulgar content at the elementary, middle, and high school levels, but it does not define the words lewd or vulgar. The proposed updates would also prohibit sexualized content at all levels, with an exception for those with, quote, legitimate pedagogical reason for such content for middle and high school levels, again, without defining what sexual content is. The lack of clarity in these parameters allows for the potential utilization of this policy to censor literature containing references to LGBTQ+ individuals. Additionally, the vagueness in these proposed updates could be used to remove many classic works, including Canterbury Tales, many works by Shakespeare, and the Bible. The proposed updates would directly contradict one of the goals of the Sparta Board of Education, as stated at the beginning of this policy. Quote, to place principle above personal opinion and reason, above prejudice in the selection of materials. We ask the board to revise these updates for greater clarity, as well as to ensure that all students will find representation within the literature held within your collections. Again, I thank you for your time. I'm from PFLAG Sussex County, and if anybody is interested, we are welcoming new members. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Angela DeLucia. I will be speaking on 1527. Good evening. First, I'd like to address the board as a district librarian and make clear that these policies violate the American Library Association's Bill of Rights, which expresses the right of library users to intellectual freedom and the expectation that all libraries will support these rights. This document is used as the model throughout the country when any sort of book ban or censorship is being considered, as it requires the reading materials not to be removed or restricted due to partisan or personal disapproval. Your policy appends an outdated version of ALA's Bill of Rights. These rights have evolved throughout the years to reflect the current needs in a very diverse world. Sadly, it seems that the attitude behind this policy reflects some very outdated views. Librarians understand these changes, and we work hard to ensure that libraries offer a wide array of materials that are as unique and varied as the people who read them. We are highly qualified and certified. We ensure that books are age appropriate, and we have constantly and consistently adhered to the district's procedures to provide parents with peace of mind. However, we must acknowledge that as students mature, it's increasingly important that they're provided with opportunities to exercise their curiosity and develop their intellect, free from the chilling effects of censorship. Any limitation of those opportunities fails to prepare our students with the critical thinking skills they need and an open-mindedness to navigate the challenges they'll undoubtedly face in their lives. With that, I switch hats to SEA President. What you are doing is misguided and dangerous. These policies provide a pathway to blatant censorship, and they fly in the face of the Supreme Court PICO decision, which held that the First Amendment limits the power of school officials to remove books from the school library because of content, especially if done in a partisan and political manner. Let me be clear, parents certainly have the right to decide what they wish their child to read, but they do not have the right to make that decision for others, nor do they have the right to limit the autonomy of others and put school employees and members, especially librarians, in the middle. And while these policies may be approved tonight, I assure you, the SEA will work tirelessly to protect our students' freedom to read and will not allow censorship to take root in our school community.
Timer on. Okay.
As soon as you start, yep.
All right, Patty Rivas, Sparta, speaking on 1527. Right now across the nation, intellectual freedom is being challenged. Books are disappearing from school library shelves under the guise of parental rights and age appropriateness, as extremist groups and conservative boards of education remove content they deem too mature. What's even more troubling is that the majority of bans feature books written by or for people of color and those who identify as LGBTQ+. The majority of residents in Sparta agree that students and families should make their own literary choices without enforcing limitations on others. These updated policies will start a domino effect that will lead to many more books disappearing from our school libraries. Here are some reasons why this is problematic to our students, our district, and our community. Number one, books being removed that are written by and for marginalized communities sends a really strong message to those communities that they're not welcomed here. Number two, in a town with very little diversity, books serve as a window to the world outside of Sparta. They give students an opportunity to learn about people, culture, viewpoints, and experiences far different than their own, preparing them for post-graduation life. Number three, book challenges and bans harm the most vulnerable in communities who don't have access to finances, time, or transportation to acquire books no longer available to them in the places where they are, classrooms and libraries. Number four, and this is a big one for the Sparta community, we risk losing state funding. Public and school libraries in New Jersey that ban books or restrict access to them could see their state funding cut if the new law, S3907, passes. Number five, our media specialists and teachers have an incredible responsibility to curate collections that represent multiple perspectives to support learners' personal and academic pursuits.
1 minute.
They are highly trained professionals who are being undermined and challenged rigorously by community members without the education or skill to evaluate literary resources. Number six, young adult literature addresses a wide range of issues and challenges that adolescents face. Removing these books denies students the chance to find relevant and relatable stories that can help them navigate their own lives. Number seven, young adult literature often appeals to adolescents and can be instrumental in fostering a love for reading. Removing these books from school libraries may discourage students from reading altogether. And number eight, young adult literature frequently deals with themes of empathy, compassion, and personal growth. Students can learn valuable life lessons and develop emotional intelligence by reading and discussing these stories. We believe in the freedom for all students, the freedom to read for all students. We believe that all students are entitled to access a wide range of resource materials that encourage them to become lifelong readers and learners. That can only happen when the school district has inclusive, unbiased, and equitable policies. Thank you.
Caitlin Gagnon, Summit Road. I'm going to be speaking to Book Policy 2530, but I also just want to follow up by saying I sent Chief McCarrick, Dr. Beck, Ms. Rossi, and the entire board an email today, and if you have not already done so, I ask that you read it. I am deeply concerned by the potential of board members weaponizing their ties to law enforcement in order to intimidate
Caitlin,
people into silence.
There's police reports
I'm
involved,
moving
so
on.
there's no reason to speak about it in here. Thank
Still,
you.
every reason to for that
Regar-
exact
it- there's-
reason.
it's
I have a few questions regarding Book Policy 2530. On July 11th, the sole complainant of the upside of Unrequited allegedly partnered up with an extremist group to write an article that explicitly targets our middle and high school media specialists. The article actually names Mrs. DeLucia and Ms. Kiff, includes images of them, targets them for taking part in a petition meant to defend themselves and their library shelves, and accuses them of reporting the complainant and her family to the NJEA Center for Honesty and Education. Are any of you willing to publicly defend these articles' claims? Are any of you willing to publicly say that our librarians have, quote, provided reporting data with the sole purpose of harassing and intimidating families? The article also goes on to say that our librarians willingly subjected the child to ridicule just because, quote, her mother wanted a few books removed from the library, end quote. I thought she only wanted one book removed from the library. It's kind of interesting. And to Patty's point about the domino effect, I believe these are libelous claims being made against our librarians, and you seem to be curating policy that actually accommodates them. 3 minutes is not nearly enough time to dissect everything wrong with the updated policy. Unbiased factual religion, what does that mean? How will you protect our teachers and our media specialists tomorrow morning when they are inevitably incessantly harassed by the same cyberbullies who are already announcing
1 minute.
on outside extremist pages their intentions, their demands, which have nothing to do with the preservation of children's innocence, but everything to do with control and fear. Rather than dissecting the contradictory nature of this poorly updated policy, which would take all night, I offer the board a compromise. Collaborate with the media specialists to update this policy properly that you so desperately wish to update, rather than conspiring with the extremists hell-bent on attacking them and public education itself. Thank you.
Hi, Debbie Gilmartin, Alpine Trail, Sparta, New Jersey. So I'm here listening to these people speaking, and when I hear about the extremists and
What item number are you speaking on, ma'am?
for the books.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. And I hear about the professionals. Let the professionals decide. And I would think the author who wrote a book would know what age they had the book geared for. And when you say the professionals, are the two librarians that released the name of a woman and her child to these radical left extremists to be harassed should be disciplined, if not fired. And the fact that the NJEA has a reporting device, if we don't agree with what you want, that now all of a sudden you get put down on their little spreadsheet. I mean, this is like the brown shirts. You want to talk about extremists? That's extremism. How can you look at somebody and call them professionals? We just had Murphy sign a law yesterday, Daniel's Law, because of a nut going and killing a judge's kid. We don't need all this craziness where people's names, children's names are released. See, I don't care. I don't have a child in this school district, but I am a taxpayer. And I'll be damned if I'm going to allow these people to just take over. You know, moving up here and thinking that all of a sudden us country bumpkins have no idea of what we're doing. And we have to now, listen to the yeah, the people from other
1 minute.
areas moving up here telling us that they're so much more sophisticated. We were just doing fine. We do not need to have our parents record it on a spreadsheet for the teachers union. That is the most bizarre thing ever. And I don't know, I'm thinking that there has to be some kind of lawsuit because that seems almost like an invasion of somebody's privacy.
Scott Knoll, Sparta. First, I want to thank everybody here. This is a thankless job.
What item number, real quick?
Oh,
before
I'm
you
sorry.
thank us?
26, 27? I actually asked to work with you guys before. We've talked, and
We don't have a 26.
15, 26, 15,
Ah, okay,
27,
all right,
sorry.
all right. No problem.
I abbreviated. Sorry, lost my train. I had a much longer speech prepared. I will spare you. I'll get to the punchline. I am sure that the people here don't like being called racist. I'm sure they don't like being called homophobic. I'm sure they doesn't like being said that they undermine the teachers or stand against the Constitution. I wouldn't, right? There is a tremendous opportunity to put all of that to bed simply by letting we heard tonight, the award-winning professionals that are getting paid to do this job, our educators and librarians, do their job. We can just scrap the whole thing and let the professionals do their job. That's my request. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm here to speak on 1527. Okay. My name is Reverend Gregory Quinlan. I'm with the Center for Garden State Families. We're a Christian family advocacy organization located here in New Jersey. In fact, I've been asked to be at this board meeting several times. This is the first time I actually had a chance to be here. And I want to also express to you something that you have not heard before. My sexual identity is ex-gay. I'm a former homosexual. I represent millions who've left the LGBTQIA-XYZ lifestyle. And I say it that way because they tripled the alphabet with phony and false identities. Secondly, when I've done this too, I've had people that have followed me who actually will say slanderous things against me and things that are absolutely defaming and false, and then simply say to me, well, Reverend, you're a public figure. I can say anything I want. So I want to talk to you about the American Library Association, who, in my opinion, should not be someone you follow. I do not feel that they serve the public interest. They serve special interest. I support the changes you've made. I think they could have even went further. But I want to read to you some things from the American Bar Association. Grooming a child. That's what these books, these literature, and some of the lesson plans do. Grooming a child can take place in person, via the internet, or in an institutional setting in order to manipulate the perceptions of other adults around the child and to manipulate the child into becoming a cooperating participant, which reduces the likelihood of a disclosure and increases the likelihood that a child will repeatedly return to the offender. Grooming behaviors include discussing sexually explicit information under the guise of education and showing the child sexually explicit images. That's the American Bar Association. The federal enticement statute, which is 2422B, The federal enticement statute targets the sexual
1 minute.
grooming of minors as well as the actual sexual exploitation of them. The statute's focus is on the intended effect of the minor rather than the defendant's intent to engage in sexual activities, such as a defendant to demonstrate an intent to actually engage in illegal sexual activity with a minor rather than deviantly violates by merely attempting to persuade a minor to engage in illegal sexual activity. The issue here is the grooming of a child. Parents have a right to know what's going on with the child, and there are material that are age inappropriate. That is not histrionics, that's a fact. What I've just heard is a line of histrionics accusing you and every concerned parent and taxpayer in this district of being radical, hate mongers, homophobic. No, we're just people who love our children.
Hi, Chad Wood, Sparta. Long time no see. I didn't have a lot of intention speaking tonight, but
What's
what's
the agenda item, Chad?
Oh, I guess 1527 regarding the books in our library. I'm really disgusted to hear that there's almost insinuations that there is inappropriate content in our Sparta library that's leading to the grooming of children. As someone who's been raised in Sparta, I've never, ever heard of a single instance in my entire life through anyone that I know, and I know everyone, of any instance of grooming. I've heard things about Pope John, but I can't speak about Sparta. So I really am really grossed out. It really made me uncomfortable. I'm shaking a little bit from the grooming literature and sexual misconduct and insinuations that occurs at Sparta High School. Because as a student who just graduated, it does not, and I can't not say anything to that, because I'm shaking. It's disgusting, and I can't believe that anyone would try to paint any educator in Sparta High School as anyone who would even remotely think about grooming, and I understand that a threat could be real, but there is no current threat in our schools, so I don't know.
Hi, Jenny Derricks, Toppin to Sparta. I have a list of items that are not related to what's already been discussed. Personnel and policy 15.5. The new, I'm asking, is this new job description, is this a new person or is this a new job description? How is it different from what goes on? It's $7,000. I'm not trying to be nitpicky, but we're looking to keep money wherever we can to keep our staff. So that was 15.5, the Tech Media Literary Coordinator stipend. PP 15.9, Alumni Webmaster stipend, $2,500. Does anyone use the website, the web page? The last item that I saw posted there was dated in 2021, and that was only one thing. There was something from 2019, 2020. Is this something that we're looking to increase the use of? Is the district paying for this? In the past, there was discussion of money coming in from another source to pay for the alumni directory and so forth. Is it similar to that, or is this just something new? 1516, AFSCME, the CDL for custodians. Anything over 40 hours pushes them into OT. Do we have an idea of how many custodians are interested in this? Is this going to be expanded to other staff members, the opportunity to get their CDL? What is the projection of costs when we have staff members going over their 40 hours pushed into OT time and a half? Sorry for the long list. Curriculum 1.03, 8 to 10 new teachers. So I've been asking about this for a while, since the budget. What staff members are released? What positions are eliminated? what specifically, which retirement positions are being filled and which are not being filled? And also tangential to that, what is the change? Because we also have a retirement at the administrative level, so what does the reorganization of the administrative level look like? 1.05, junior ROTC. Who is spearheading this? I think it's a great idea, great program. I'm just curious who's spearheading it in the district. Is it being funded from an outside source, or is there grant money available for that? 2.9, the Bristow Center, Barry Bristow, wonderful person that used to be our staff member. Just curious, is this something that went out for RFP, or did they turn to her because they know of her standard of work? Curriculum 2.2, can you explain what OGIMSE? This is all curriculums. This is all agendas.
It's time now.
AP Human Geology. I have a whole.
There's another public
That's
session,
why
too.
We'll see you at number 2.
Kyle Neuwirth, Sparta. I'm a Sparta High School graduate. You might remember me. I used to sit on the board like Chad Wood has currently. I'm here to speak about 1527. A woman spoke earlier today claiming that apparently we are attacking the way of life in Sussex County. Well, spoiler, we wouldn't be up here speaking if changes weren't being made. In fact, all of us would be happy if this resolution was changed or just simply kept the same as it is currently. So I think it's kind of fictitious to state that we're attacking a way of life when we just want things to stay the same. In addition to 1527, considering that this policy would be adding new job descriptions to librarians and increasing their workload and giving them new considerations that they have to deal with every day in their day-to-day life, I think it's an important question to ask, were librarians contacted or discussed with at all about this policy change? I know, Mr. Beck, typically sometimes you answer questions after public comment, so I think that would be an important question for the public to know prior to hearing the result of this decision on this policy. Thanks.
Till later.
Jen Hamilton, Sparta. I think we all know what's going to happen when this public participation section is over. The board's going to vote. The change is going to pass. So my question for you guys is, would you consider adding language into this revised policy that informs the public whenever a book is being challenged? So include something in the policy that says that any parent in an affected school will receive an email of a book being challenged and the grounds for which it is being challenged. If this is truly about parents having the right to choose and parents being in charge of what their children are viewing, I think we have a right to know when something is being taken away from them and access is being removed. And if it is so concerning that there is a book on the shelf that we're considering removing it, parents should also be informed that that book is being removed so that they can have a discussion with their children if they read that book. I would have no way of knowing if you don't inform parents in the affected grade levels of these changes. So if you are going to pass this, I would suggest including some language in that policy that informs parents of the challenge and the grounds for the challenge, what it's being challenged based upon. Thank you.
Thank you. There's nobody else. Motion to close public session 1.
Motion.
Thank you. Walter, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Tara, you want to start? Or Matt?
Yeah, there's a lot to respond to here. Hold on. All right. In order. So going back to Mr. Dumpert, asking about the threat assessment team. First of all, the threat assessment team policy is based on NJDOE code. That was a Strauss-Esme update, and those of you that know how policies work, for the most part, you get Strauss-Esme updates, and they're based on code, and then you go ahead and make a policy based on that code. That's what that is. Most of you understand that already. I just wanted to clarify that part of it. And then, yes, the parents will be contacted. So the threat assessment team is based on when students present a threat to themselves or others. And when that is discovered by a staff member, by another student, reported to a staff member, whatever it may be, as soon as a staff member comes into contact, ensures there's no immediate danger, at that point, a parent would be contacted to let them know it's been brought to our attention that your son or daughter has been presented to us as a threat to himself or herself and others, and so on. And so, yes, the short answer is yes. Once an immediate threat is not, it's confirmed there's no immediate threat, the parents will be contacted. The updating of books annually, it's my understanding, and I don't know if Mrs. Rossi, jump in if I understand wrong, is that Destiny is an ongoing process. So as books come in, as books are weeded, the Destiny is updated almost like live. So is it updated annually? I don't think there's one time a year that it's updated. It's an ongoing type of thing, but it is my understanding that it is up to date. Jenny, a couple of questions. Okay, that's fine. Okay. And then Kyle, were the librarians consulted? My understanding is that Mrs. Rossi met with some or most of the librarians in the district at times throughout this process. It was also my understanding that the Board of Education attempted to set up a meeting and ran out of time as the school year went, as we encountered the end of the school year, really. That's my understanding as far as their consulting involvement. Again, Jenny, that's fine. I'll get back to you. And I believe that was...
Yeah. Sarah?
I think the few items that I recognize that came from curriculum, but also feel free to follow up if I miss anything. The junior ROTC was something that was recommended for us to take a look at. It's a free club, actually, so we are getting some information on what that entails and how to proceed with inquiries. So somebody will come and present to us, which would eventually be turned over to the high school if they wanted to pursue it. The OG IMSE, that's Reading Methodology, Orton Gillingham Institute for Multisensory Education. 15.5, the tech coordinator, similar to like our extended learning program coordinators. We would be looking to provide somebody with an opportunity to help us really develop and prioritize cohesive instruction for supporting effective use of technology curricularly, not just through devices and platforms. I think it comes from Title IV funds, so it's not budgetary. Title IV funds have to be used in a specific fashion, and so that was the need that has been identified. When you look into some of these concerns that we continue to talk about, how sexualization or over-sexualization impacts our adolescence or our early child development, what you find when you dig into that research is that the greatest impact to them is through technology. So social media, technology, fashion, movies, song lyrics, and the misuse of technology or the lack of cohesive instruction and prioritizing that also impacts climate and culture in terms of the bullying that takes place or the patterns that we've identified which are causing negative climate and culture. So when we look at this issue comprehensively and not only through text, we see that there are really high-level ramifications for not making sure that our students are well adept at utilizing technology, not just the tools, but the understanding of proper etiquette and protection from technological devices and the platforms they offer. It will also include parental partnerships because there's a lot of education. We didn't grow up with the tools that they have access to, and between the filters, the knowledge, the information and insight that we can share and partner together with, that role also helped to develop some of those opportunities.
And since Ms. Rossi went into some of your questions anyway, in the interest of transparency, I'll continue to hit those that you asked. She did the job description. The alumni webmaster is a position that has always existed, but yes, we are looking to increase traffic all over our website. It's going to be part of our communications plan. We've talked about that with the ad hoc committee. So the answer is yes, necessary, has existed, and looking to expand. The CDL for custodians, we've been working on this for quite some time. We're happy that this took place. We're happy that there are custodians. I don't have the exact number of custodians that are interested, but custodians are interested. And that is going to help, hopefully, help alleviate the transportation issues that we have been dealing with over the past 2-3 years. And then the second part of that question, we actually met with SEA leadership today to discuss the expansion of that to other certified staff members as well. Again, the more CDL licensed drivers we can have in districts for various things, the better it would be for our transportation operations, which would benefit everybody. The 8 to 10 teachers that you see on here, there are no new teaching positions added. Those are all as a result of resignations or retirements. And the admin restructure that you reference, that came as a result of retirement. Obviously, the Mohawk Avenue principal retired. We filled that position with the director of operations, moved over to the Mohawk Avenue principal position, thereby eliminating the director of operations position in central office. And then the other admin restructure that you see on tonight's agenda, you would see Sherry Shefferman, congrats to her, by the way. Moving to the supervisor of special services, that was part of a special services admin restructure where there were 2 directors, elementary and secondary. We went to a director, back to the director supervisor structure, which was here, which existed prior to my arrival, years prior to my arrival, thereby saving like $40,000 or $50,000 as part of the budget process. And your additional questions you can email.
Thank you.
I just wanted to comment about the policy, the 2530 policy and regulation. I think it's really being unfairly attacked as a policy about banning books or censorship. It's really not. It's a policy about making sure that we have age-appropriate books in each of our school libraries, whether we're talking about elementary school, middle school, and high school. And obviously, the higher the age level, the greater the latitude is as to what books would be included in the library. And it's about making sure that we have standards that are appropriate for either adding books or retaining books in the library. Ms. Hamilton, we thought about the point that you raised about letting folks know if there's a challenge, if books are being removed. I think if we announced every time we have a challenge, I think it would have a chilling effect on people coming forward in good faith. It's not a back and forth. However, we did think about that, and what we did is we have language in the regulation, I believe, that says that we will publish every year any books that have been added or removed. So folks are going to be able to see what we added and what we removed. And if somebody has a concern about a book that perhaps was removed, they can voice a similar concern. So again, I think this false narrative is being spewed around that this is about censorship and book banning. It's not.
And regarding reaching out to the media specialists, I did want to just, again, thank Dr. Beck and Ms. Rossi for their collaboration. And we were really disappointed that we weren't able to have the in-person meeting that we hoped. We had reached out in response to the media specialists had reached out to us on June 7th. We responded on the 9th, inviting a conversation to address some of the concerns. In their response back, we didn't get a direct response to that invitation, but we did move forward with wanting that to be something that could happen and facilitated by Ms. Rossi. And unfortunately, the date that was afforded was the last day of school, and we were in the buildings ourselves with student-related matters, and we didn't feel it would be appropriate to bring in our media specialists beyond the contract of the school year. But in good faith to things that were presented, there was a lot of ongoing discussion, and we really appreciated what our administrators were bringing back to us in terms of areas that may have been potential conflict. And You'll notice that's why we gave you a red line version as well as a final version, not just for our colleagues here on the board, but for the public to understand that a lot was taken into consideration in terms of the feedback. And also, compared to some of the other high-performing districts, our policy and regulation are one of the few that actually really acknowledges the expertise and role of the media specialist and really acknowledges that that responsibility is dedicated to them. If we do have a version of the outdated Bill of Rights, we will be sure to update that. We did utilize what Livingston had referenced in their policy in 2022, so that was the decision behind that version. But if it's incorrect, then that will be updated. We appreciate that Mr. Rivers noted the additional language, and we in terms of appropriate material, that is exactly the case, that if a book, the fact that if there are sexual incidents or profanity appearing shall not automatically disqualify a book. And we're looking at, as Mr. Rivers quoted, the decision shall be made on the basis of whether a book presents life in its true proportions, the circumstances are realistically dealt with, and whether a book is of literary value. And when we were working with Dr. Beck and Ms. Rossi on this, this was taken from another high-performing district that addressed these four areas of religion, ideologies, sexual content, lewd and vulgar content, so that there's a framework. And the idea is not to make it so explicitly defined that you can't work within the policy. There's room for interpretation in here, and there's guidance that's simply, to Mark's point, that is presented to just give some guidance as to age appropriateness, but it is the intention of this policy is not to preclude, but to prioritize. So we do appreciate the feedback, and I think we did put in a lot within here of those changes.
Thank you, Vaughn. Okay, moving on. Create a motion for personnel and policy.
Motion?
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thanks, Leanne. Discussion? Joanne?
Ms. Collier?
Yes.
Ms. Keeling?
Yes.
Mr. Knapp?
Yes.
Ms. McMichael?
Yes.
Mr. Pleshy? Ms. Pitzer?
Yes.
Ms. Seelander?
Yes.
Dr. Serrano?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes. Okay, motion for curriculum 16.1 to 16.11.
Motion?
Thank you, Walter. Second?
Second.
And thank you. Discussion? Joanne?
Hold on a second.
Oh.
I was looking for the Mohawk Avenue posting. That's not on this one? You said the special services, or the move to Mohawk Avenue, is that going to be on the next agenda?
That individual's move from Director of Operation to Principal of Mohawk Ave was on the June agenda?
Okay.
Yes.
So I was looking for that because I wasn't here last meeting and I forgot about it. And in doing that, I voted yes for 15.27, which was not on purpose. So I am voting no on policy 2530. So can you please change that in the record?
Mine also, Joanne. Mine also. 2530.
Sorry, I was looking for something else when we were voting.
Is that all?
Thank you.
Good. Okay, we had our motions on curriculum. We have discussion. Joanne?
Ms. Collier?
Yes.
Ms. Keeling?
Yes to everything, but I need to abstain from 16.8.
Mr. Knapp?
Yes.
Ms. McMichael?
Yes.
Mr. Pleshy? Ms. Pitzer?
Yes, but I have to abstain from 16.8.
Ms. Seelander?
Yes.
Dr. Serrano?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes. For finance, I do have a resolution to add. It's going to be 1719B. Resolved that the Board of Education appoints BKC Certified Public Accountants as the school auditor effective July 1st for the 23-24 school year. Again, that'll be added to 1719B.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I'll read it again. Yeah, I'm adding, we had a resolution, it's being added as 17.19B. Resolved that the Board of Education appoints BKC Certified Public Accountants as the school auditor effective July 1st, July 23 for the 23-24 school year. They've already been in. Okay, motion for 17.1 to 17.9B.
Motion.
Thanks, Walter. Second?
Second.
Lauren, discussion? Joanne?
Ms. Collier?
Yes.
Ms. Keeling?
Yes.
Mr. Knapp?
Yes.
Ms. McMichael?
Yes.
Mr. Pelesci? Ms. Pitzer?
Yes.
Ms. Seelander?
Yes.
Dr. Serrano?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes. Oh, okay. Operations, motion for operations, 18.1 to 18.2.
Motion.
And second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Joanne?
Ms. Collier?
Yes.
Ms. Keeling?
Yes.
Mr. Knapp?
Yes.
Ms. McMichael?
Yes.
Mr. Pelesci? Ms. Pitzer?
Yes.
Ms. Seelander?
Yes.
Dr. Serrano?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes. Anyone have old business? No? Good. New business? Nobody. Great. Public comment number 2. The board uses second public comment period to invite comments on all matters pertaining to the school district. Please state your municipality name and group affiliation if appropriate. For the record, each participant will receive 3 minutes to speak. Once you have had allotted 3 minutes to speak, you will not be permitted to speak again. All statements should be directed to me as presiding officer. The board or the administration may or not respond to the questions or comments after the conclusion of public participation.
Hello again, Caitlin Gagnon, Summit Road. So I actually have a question, and I don't think I'll get an answer, but it's worth asking anyway. So I'm noticing a lot of collaborating with Mr. Zittimer. You spoke at length, which is usually, pretty odd for a board attorney
No, it isn't.
to have such an opinion on this matter.
No, it isn't.
And it was mentioned at the last, it's not a debate. You mentioned at the last meeting as well, there were many hours poured into this policy. How much have we paid in legal fees over this policy? Because I think that's the root of this question for you. Sure. It's finance. Sure. It's money.
Oh, yeah.
Just like Marlboro, right? So I think that's what we're dealing with here. It has less to do with morals. That's certainly not it. Another question.
For you or me?
I'm sorry?
Morals about you or me?
I'm not, it's not a debate. It's not a back and forth. Another day. One other thing I want to say to the speaker that spoke earlier. Oh, before I say that, committee meeting minutes. It said that we discussed the transgender policy. Does anyone want to expound on what exactly was discussed? I won't speculate. I hope it was something really supportive and collaborative, maybe talking about some of the bullying that we spoke to last month. Maybe we're working to change that culture and improve it. That would be wonderful. So hopefully we're not, surprised in coming months with anything regarding that. And lastly, just to the gentleman's point, I think he said, Family Policy Alliance or one of those groups. It's really important, if you love American democracy, which I certainly do, you also have to love the separation of church and state. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Dana Galino. On November 11th, 2021, I sent my 13-year-old daughter to Sparta Middle School for what I thought was a regular day of 8th grade. Later that day, my husband texted me, quote, "Leah's substitute was taken out of the building in handcuffs for putting his hands on girls' legs," unquote. Seconds later, a Sparta Township phone number flashed across the screen. I answered the call from Mr. Chibori, and he informed me that a substitute teacher had been accused by several 8th grade females of staring at their bodies and/or touching their arms and legs. He went on to say that my child was involved, and he had hoped to speak to me before I had a chance to receive the news from my daughter. If you haven't experienced a similar situation, I assure you there is nothing that prepares you or gives you the strength to receive news that your young daughter may have been violated. A victim of a male teacher who took advantage of her in a place where she and I thought she was safe. There were several 8th grade girls who went on the record that day that their substitute had touched them, and my daughter was one of them. A female staff member witnessed the events and urged the girls to report the teacher. The police were alerted, he was led out of the building, and there was very little discussion between admin and my family after that. Any follow-up on the case was self-initiated, and if there were any changes made to the vetting process for hiring future subs, it was not shared with me. As with most experiences that affect my family, we took discussion and prevention in-house. Since that day, we've discussed child predators, internet safety, red flags, and safe practices. We are very cautious of who and where photos and videos of our children end up. My husband and I are motivated to ensure that it never happens again.
1 minute.
So you can imagine my concern when Ryan Dumpert began posting on Facebook his intention to record audience members while at the board meeting. While he has gone on the record with several contradictory reasons why he wishes to record, my concern lies with why he is adamant about recording minors. He has been asked several times to acknowledge an area of the audience where minors and those who do not wish to be recorded can sit, and he has refused. His reasons why are alarming. Quote, "I would like the opportunity to record the meetings for my own personal use. I will only record for my own purposes, which, by the way, are my business. My camera is aimed strategically at the room for me to capture what I want. I understand that you have been advised by counsel that recording the audience is legal, and I'm not asking you to bar him from recording. I'm simply asking you to simultaneously accommodate Mr. Dumpert and a group of parents who do not want him to record our children. There are times where parents attend these meetings with their children, and there is an expectation that when they sit in the audience, they will not be recorded."
Thank you.
I'll be back to finish.
I don't think you have to allow people to come back to the mic again. Yeah.
Hi, Ashley Resendez from Sparta. I just have a couple questions. Is the administration aware of a reporting tool that teachers can use to report parents who challenge books? And also, does the administration have any information on Sparta teachers reporting parents to the NJEA Center for Honesty? That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
To write. Jen Hamilton, Sparta. So as a general practice, I don't comment on Mr. Zittimer's comments, but today I will make an exception for you. I found that to be incredibly strange. It was as if you gave us your personal opinion about why the policy is being revised and why you chose not to do certain things versus do certain things, rather than the legal viewpoint or standpoint. And I found it to be weird. The board is sitting right here. If they wanted to give us their opinion about why they chose not to include that language, they certainly could have done that. but it felt awkward coming from you. It felt more enforced as opposed to free discussion from them. So if that wasn't the case, then I apologize, but it just felt very weird to me today. I think it is interesting that the phrase that you chose was that you thought it would have a chilling effect on people submitting requests for books to be banned from a library if you were going to say what book was being requested to be removed and why. I mean, if you're not willing to say you think a book is inappropriate out loud in a public forum, why are you looking to remove this book? But the irony of that statement is in full effect when you look at this camera over here, where you're not willing to say it has a chilling effect on public participation at a meeting and participation in general when you have a camera facing the audience. Now, we know that case law exists on this. There are 2 leading cases in the state of New Jersey. I'm sure you've looked them up, as have I. Neither of them specifically says that there's any legal guidance that allows audience members to be videotaped at a board meeting. Every bit of language in those 2 cases that are applicable in New Jersey talks about free access to the meeting, which, welcome to the show, guys. That's you. It's not us. The public is not the meeting, right? I think this is a case that's ripe to be brought to, the courts, but that's just my personal opinion. And as a matter of harassment, if these sorts of videos start becoming harassing of members of the audience, you never know what will happen. But I also would like to ask the board to reconsider having the public recording the audience. My understanding was, if I can have
Thanks,
30
Jen.
seconds, 30 seconds.
Thank you.
I'll come back then.
These people are all looking to get up for another.
Edward from Franklin. I just have a question for Mr. Norris, and I can't read your name, so the town lawyer.
Call me the attorney.
The attorney, I apologize. It has to do with the recording device. I would like your legal thoughts on this. We are in a public building, and we are the public, so my question to you is, if we're in public, then there's no expectation of privacy in a public setting, as we are right now, and that is my question for both of you, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sasha Nelson. I'm a student at Sparta High School. So I'm also talking about the video recording. And I know that the board meetings are recorded, but they're recorded in a nonpartisan context. The Board of Education is not supposed to be politicized, but Facebook makes it politicized. I mean, I'm sure that all of you have seen what people take out of context. Like, I've seen things that I've said taken out of context and put online, and I've been accused of being indoctrinated, of being involved in witchcraft once. That was a fun one. And I don't know where these videos are going to end up. I know that it might end up on one of those Facebook pages that'll take things that I say, or my face, or where I'm sitting in the audience. I mean, the audience is politicized, like the different sides. And I'm scared. That makes me way more uncomfortable than books. And I feel very uncomfortable as a minor knowing that that video is going to end up online in the hands of people that I don't know. The people on these Facebook pages, Sparta Moms Uncensored, like, not all of them are from Sparta, and I don't know them. So I would just like there to be a consideration to make a spot in the audience where I can sit, where I don't feel uncomfortable coming to the board meetings. Because I run the Student Advisory Board, as all of you know, so I think it's important to come and be updated on what's happening. I like to attend these meetings. Like, I spent my birthday at a Board of Education meeting, but I don't feel comfortable right now being here. So if you could please change it or something. Thank you.
I'll get it when I go. Jenny Derrick's just finishing up some of my questions. Curriculum 16.5, College of St. Elizabeth. Last year in September, we approved $70,000 for our relationship with College of St. Elizabeth, and on this agenda, we're committing another $5,000. And just curious, $70,000 or $75,000 is a significant amount of money. Are we going to re-up that $70,000 in September? Is that an ongoing thing? There was a donation for archery equipment for the middle school. Does that mean that there's going to, well, maybe I got it wrong. I'm sorry, it came from the charter and it's going to Helen Morgan. And as the student spoke about eloquently earlier, is there an expectation that it's going to be moving up to the middle school? I think the lunch prices going up at the high school. Do we know if that's happening? When will we know? Do we know how much? And is it just the high school that the prices are going to increase? Transportation. So we're reducing the runs from 11 to 9. Last year, I was getting contacted all the time from middle school parents about, as I'm sure you were, about the buses always being late or frequently being late. Is cutting the runs, how is that going to impact the time frame for these students? Is it just going to expand the waiting time for them? Under finance also 2.01 discusses having expenditures for football, for certain medical services to be on the sidelines for football. Is it just football? Are we just covering the fall season? Or is this something that's going to be expanded, to lacrosse further, skiing, and so on? Is this an NJSIAA requirement? I guess that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chad Wood again. I was just wondering if we had any status updates on the Alpine School building in regards to looking for a new location or just anything in the works that has been new. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ryan Dumpert, Sparta. Last week, a coward posted an anonymous post calling me out by name. I'll say that again. Last week, a coward posted an anonymous post on Facebook calling me out by name because I set up a camera. I'd like to read some of the comments that were a result of that post. I was accused of child endangerment, child trafficking, stalking, called a whack job, accused of exploiting vulnerable people, intimidating and harassing residents, an adult male creeper who wants to record children and watch them in his basement. Right? Right. I can see the look on all your faces. This is good. Everyone should know that I did ask for that post to be taken down, as it was a lie and horrific. In exchange, I just simply wouldn't record. But this isn't about recording, is it? This isn't about my camera. This is about smearing me. It's about smearing who I am and what I stand for. That's what this is about. And so, I just want to say, let the smearing begin, right? We can smear each other if that's okay. If Sparta's going to allow the same 20 people to smear again this year, did great last year. I can see all the candidates you smeared last year are sitting up on this stage. You know who else is standing up here? Me. You're not going to scare me by smearing me on Facebook. It's absurd. Just so you're all aware, I want to end with one question. For those of you who run around town fighting for the right to express yourselves in public, in the schools and in the town, if you are not for freedom of expression for someone who you disagree with, then how can you say you are for freedom of expression at all? Thank you.
Does nobody else get a motion, do so? Okay.
No, please.
Greg Quinlan, Center for Garden State Families, here before. I just wanted to answer something that was said earlier. The word separation, the word church, and the word state do not appear in the United States Constitution anywhere. They appear in a letter from Thomas Jefferson to the Danbury Baptist Church in regards to the First Amendment. The First Amendment reads like this: Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and petition the government for the redress of grievances. That's the First Amendment. That's what it says. 45 words in the First Amendment, 5 liberties, but 1/3 of that First Amendment, 16 words, go for freedom of religion, not from it, nor is it a freedom to attack it. We can all disagree, but I just wanted to make sure that we understood, since we are here as a school board, that we had an education about our founding document. Thank you.
Sir, can you sign in, please? Thank you. You can sign it when you're done. Yeah, just sign in after.
I don't have a lot of organized thoughts right now.
Just
Patty,
Patty or-
Sparta. We're talking about Facebook smearing, which is totally ridiculous at a Board of Education meeting, because there's plenty of smearing going on both sides, I assure you. I think what we're concerned about as residents is the intimidation factor. I know that, Mr. Morris, you told Caitlin earlier to quiet down about an issue that she had with intimidation, but we're sending our kids to school here. We're talking about harassment and bullying and intimidation, and then getting intimidation from the board. That's pretty serious. How am I supposed to feel comfortable sending my 3 boys to school and thinking they'll be protected if we can't even be protected as a community? We're coming here and being filmed, so that's supposed to scare us. And I guarantee when we go on Fresh Face New Jersey or Chaos and Control later, there's going to be a great sizzle reel with animations and how crazy we are. Maybe we'll have devil horns. Ah. But guess what? We're still going to be here. We're still going to be talking. We're not standing down. And there will be a time when your terms are over. And guess what? Progression just keeps moving forward and forward. So have your spot, your 15 minutes. It will end. We're not going away. I just want you to know that, and certainly you to know that too. Thank you.
Does nobody else get a motion to close?
Did they speak already?
You guys already spoke.
Yeah.
We have a second exec session. We have another
It's
exec
public
session.
participation. We get so little time.
Once you speak once, you're done.
That's new
I already,
in
s-
your.
I already,
That's new in your little.
We have another closed session.
Is that policy that you changed at this meeting? Was that?
it wasn't, it was, it just wasn't
The
this
board
meeting.
president has discretion. We still have another probably hour left of closed session tonight, so he has discretion. Let me finish. You asked me a question. Once everybody has had an opportunity to speak, he has discretion as the board president to say that one opportunity per person. That's his right. We had 2 public participations. A lot of boards actually only have 1. So that's his. That's fine.
I don't care what the town council does. This isn't the town council.
Okay.
Wait, it's on a hot
Well, thank you so much for our 6 minutes a month to talk to you. I
Sir?
have 3 minutes,
Sir?
and
Sir?
I'd like to give them 3
You're
minutes
not,
to speak.
you're not, that's
The
not how it
policy says we
works.
don't cede
So
time
if
to
you're
other
gonna stand
people.
up there and
I've got 3 minutes to
grandstand-
speak. I've got 3 minutes to speak.
Okay, then you-
Either
then
I
you-
can
then-
read
then
what
you
she's
can-
going to read,
then
or
you can
got-
speak.
This is my time.
Then you can
Kyle
speak.
Neuwirth from Sparta. I have 3 minutes
You're
to
welcome to
speak.
speak.
Either
Go
I
ahead.
can read this, or she can read it. Why can't
If you
read
want
it?
to take her phone and read, that's fine.
But you won't let her read it.
She's not reading it now.
Where should I start?
I have asked Officer Morris.
I have asked Officer Morris, Dr. Beck, and Mr. Dumpert to grant this safety precaution for our children and have been declined by all 3 men. So tonight I am asking the other 8 board members to make a motion to designate a non-record area in the audience. I don't know what Mr. Dumpert's true intentions are with the recordings, but why chance it? He is recording tonight. Is he live streaming to a dangerous site? Will he post online? Will he watch it later at home? I don't know. But any minors sitting in the audience tonight are now on Mr. Dumpert's phone to be used at his own discretion. My child has been betrayed by a man this district allowed into her school. I would love for all of us to learn from this and make decisions that keep all Sparta children safe. Please do not give permission to a male stranger to record our children for his own personal use, whether it be live streaming, watching it in his basement, posting on YouTube, or any other nefarious social media sites. And if there is a policy in Sparta schools that allows men to film minors, then please consider changing that policy next. The children of Sparta need your protection right now, and I thank you for doing the right thing and taking precautions to ensure our children remain safe.
Anybody else? Would you just...
Good evening. My name is Shannon Balosh. I'm a resident of Sparta, and I would like to thank the board for their work to revise policy 2530. A policy that is 20 years old merits updating. The content of media has evolved over the past 20 years, as has the various types of media and our access to it. This policy revision is not against the media specialists. It is not intended to pit us as parents against them. And in updating, no one is saying that the media specialists are doing anything wrong or that there are age-appropriate materials currently existing in our school libraries. I believe that the intention of the revision is to help ensure that age-appropriate, inappropriate materials stay out of our school libraries. Libraries fail to be a refuge when children are exposed to age-inappropriate materials. The opt-out of checking books out is not a reasonable option because it does not prevent a student's access to materials while they're at school. We have a wonderful public library in town with a comprehensive collection where we as parents have the freedom to look over videos, books, magazines, and music and discuss their appropriateness with our children. But parents do not have that same level of access to our school libraries. Yes, we trust that Sparta's educational professionals are highly qualified and proficient at their jobs. We are grateful for their time, their attention, and dedication to the students. At graduation, one of the speakers noted that the class of 2023 had spent 345,600 minutes together. That's 5,760 hours that our children spend under someone else's supervision and determination of what's age appropriate for them. And that's just high school. Yes, our librarians are specialists in media, but parents are specialists when it comes to our children. We trust the competency of our educational professionals, but as parents, we want to partner with them and have an updated policy that helps us to verify the age appropriateness and educational value of the materials that they have access to. Thank you.
Thanks. Motion to close public comments. Thank you. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Go to the order.
Just some
Oh,
responses.
yes, yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
Just
My bad.
scrolling back up to make sure I got, okay, so Jenny, in a second, I'll let Ms. Rossi speak to the College of St. Elizabeth. I'll let Ms. Black speak to the lunch prices. The donation of archery equipment, so that came about, just got a text from the superintendent of the Sussex County Charter School who was gracious enough, well, who knew about our successful archery program here and had equipment, and was gracious enough to say that they're not using it any longer and would we want it. Turns out I reached out to Mr. Lehman, see if we could use it, if it was the right stuff. It turns out it is gently used. So we're not going to turn down a donation. With that, we are, I don't want to make any promises at the table, but we are looking at expanding the archery program into the middle school. There's some operational things we'd have to figure out, advise an advisor, and paying that advisor, and possibly if that advisor came from a different school, how we would work the schedule. There's things that we have to work out. In fact, there is a meeting scheduled for next week to discuss just that. No promises. We are looking at it. And if so, that equipment donation would be very helpful, as we wouldn't have to purchase necessarily a lot of equipment. The transportation cut of runs, I can't answer right this second about the amount of time, but I can tell you that our routes are audited for efficiency ratings, and so they would not be allowed to be approved if they were of a ridiculous length. I can say that much right now, but I can get the specifics. And the medical expenses at football games, that's nothing new. That's to have ambulance services at the football games. At this time, it is football games only. It's always been like that because it's a dangerous sport. Not that other sports aren't dangerous, but so as far as NJSIA rule, I can look into that. I can talk to Mr. Stone about that to see if it's an actual rule, but it's been past practice here. And we do pay for that service, the ambulance service. What we were able to do last year was we started with, we are required to have a doctor at the medical doctor on the sidelines, right? And we were paying a practice to do that in the past. Last year was the first year we actually were able to work with the Orthopedic Institute of New Jersey, who provides a free doctor for us on the sidelines, which is very nice, and we approved that this evening as well. So with that, oh, I'm sorry, Chad, update on the new school. Still looking at and looking for property. I will solicit the public again if anybody has any ideas. We have, I told you we had a design. I believe I told you we had a design, but we ran into wetlands. What the architect is doing right now is trying to rework a design to try to squeeze into an area that might not be wetlands, and that's where we're at right now. But we are still soliciting if anybody has that. We're looking, but soliciting if anybody has ideas for any kind of property that we could use for that. We're looking at it. And that's what I had. We'll go to Ms. Rossi for the College of St. Elizabeth and Ms. Black for lunch prices.
Hi, Jenny. So if on the main website, the main page shows how we plan to use our ESSER funds that are same with like our title grants. They're allocated for dedicated purposes. St. Elizabeth that cost is per year for 5 schools for 3 years to have consultation, planning, and united services, which also follows the NJDOE accelerated learning framework. So that was planned for. We do have the funds for that, and that will occur each school year for each of the 5 schools. Through ESSER, yeah, ARP. I think it's like slide 5 if you want to look at the main page.
So the lunch price that's on the menu on motion 17.15, it is only going up for the high school for breakfast and also for lunch by a quarter from last year. And that's primarily due to the anticipation of the staffing for payroll. The minimum wage is going up as of January 1st, but because of the number of employees that do have to service for the lunches.
So I just have 2 things I wanted to bring up. Can I do that now?
I was going to respond to one other thing. This guy can answer his question about recording the meetings.
Yeah, but she can go first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Comments first.
No, it's just 2 general things. I just wanted to say that even though I voted no on 2530 after I realized my mistake, it wasn't because I don't think that the policy doesn't need to be updated. I do think that it did need to be updated, and I do sit on policy, and there was a lot of time spent on it. I just wish that we would have come to something that the board and the educational experts both agreed upon before I would give it my yes vote. But I do think that some areas of it did need to be updated. And then the other thing is, whether it's at the table or after this meeting, I do think there needs to be a discussion about videotaping people from the front at these board meetings.
Yeah.
I also just want to ask one thing. For the bus runs, we went from 11 to 9. That was just for summer runs, though. That's not the regular school year.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, this gentleman asked about recording of meetings. There's a case, don't quote me on this, from the New Jersey Supreme Court, I think it's Terrace versus Pine Hill School Board or Township, that said community members have a right to come to a public meeting, board meeting, township meeting, and record. That's a protected right. People, let me finish, I didn't interrupt. That people have a right to do that, and that folks don't have an expectation of privacy in a public meeting. We have a right to impose some restrictions. In other words, we have a right to say the camera can't be front and center, it's got to be off to the side, which it is, and so forth. So you're right, it is a right that's been recognized by our courts.
Does anyone else have anything?
I was just going to add, I think it would warrant more discussion. We appreciate obviously having legal counsel, but I think it's important that obviously, anything that affects minors, I think it warrants further discussion. And if we are aware of, I think as I hear that, I think about, okay, well, where there could be a section, I worry that there could be, the camera could be slightly angled differently and a section could be shown that's not. And I think that gets a little gray, but I think it's warrants discussion in terms of what's in the view and what's not, and just going under student advisory practice as well. I appreciate hearing from our students on that.
And operationally regarding that could be done at the table, or it could be done through policy since it is a bylaw. I don't know if anybody heard me, I'm sorry. It could be done at the table or through policy committee because it is a bylaw. I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, I would probably recommend that it be done, because we have a policy on this particular subject, that the policy committee be the one that kind of look at that, and I'm certainly happy to provide some legal guidance on the do's and the don'ts.
I guess could we also explore how that might, well, this is something we could talk about during policy, but how that might impact graduations, things like that. But I do agree that where minors are discussed, it's obviously a huge concern and importance, and not something that any of us take lightly. That's for sure.
Okay, if no one else has anything, we are now going to convene into closed session. Action will not be taken after closed session, and we'll be discussing personnel and legal matters. Thank you. Motion?
Motion.
Lauren, thank you. Second, Walter?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.